Hello everybody, Sarah here. This is a short video on how to manage the mentoring process with any teachers that you are mentoring and how to maintain a successful mentoring relationship. So when we talk about the mentoring process, when you start a mentoring relationship with a teacher where you are the mentor and the teacher is the mentee, there are 4 stages that we can follow to help us make a very successful relationship. First of all, we've got preparing. Okay, this is the preparation stage. This is the time where you take some time to understand what a mentor is and what you have to offer as a mentor. So think about your skills, your strengths, and so on. And familiarize yourself with this process. So what's first step with your mentee? What's the second step? How do you end the relationship? And so on. Because this is a relationship. Next, you will be thinking of the establishing stage. This is where you plan out your first meeting. You should consider when's the best time to meet, the best place. Is it online? Is it face-to-face? If it is face-to-face, think about a safe space for both of you to start off your relationship. And also you would think about designing a series of questions to ask your mentee, okay? These questions would be helping you build rapport with the mentee. They would be agreeing on some rules, because there should be some rules in this relationship. And they should be able to help your mentee set a goal. What do they want out of this mentoring relationship? What do they want to gain? Okay. And also, this is a good time to establish a mentoring contract. I know that sounds a little bit formal, but whenever we're dealing with a relationship, such as this one, and this is a relationship, then a professional relationship, then you would want to set out a contract to make sure that both of you know where you stand in this relationship. And then we've got the maintaining stage, right? And this is where we use some learning and development tools, and this will help give structure to the relationship, and also think about how you would manage any conflict. Sometimes conflict might arise with your mentee. So how can you deal with this professionally? All right. And also think about how you will end the relationship. Remember that no mentorship can last forever. And we need to remember that there is a time where a mentee will need to move on. And how do we celebrate the mentoring relationship that we've just had? Okay. This process will help you feel more confident in your own mentoring. So let's look at what mentoring is, okay? Mentoring is a method to support professional development. It's not line management. It is not the same as managing a teacher. It's dynamic. It's a personal relationship, and the mentor is a guide and a role model, okay, of a less experienced person. So the mentors should be providing the mentees with knowledge, advice, guidance, support, telling them where good opportunities are, sharing resources with them, sharing professional development opportunities with them. But you are not line managing them, and you are not evaluating them like you might be with your teachers, okay? This is really important to remember. So here we have on this page what mentors are, what mentors do, and what mentors have, okay? They have access to professional networks and resources, knowledge of organizational culture. So this is knowledge of the school that you work in, the setting and the context that you work in, okay? Now, let's think about the first meeting. This is really important, right? Because it sets the tone and structure of the whole process and the whole relationship. So here we have some questions that you can ask the mentee to help you build rapport, to help you agree on ground rules, and to help you set a goal. So all of these questions can be asked in your first meeting with a mentee. All right, and you can adapt these, add to them as you see fit. There's also a good reason to have a mentoring contract. This means that if you draw up a mentoring contract together with your mentee, you both have a clear understanding of your roles and responsibilities. So here is a sample contract, and you can sign this, and your mentee can sign this at the bottom. And this will ensure that you both have the same expectations of the relationship, which is really important. You don't want your mentee to have a different expectation of the relationship to yours. All right. Now, here is some advice for mentors, okay? One key thing to consider is that a mentoring relationship always starts out very enthusiastically, but this kind of energy can reduce over time. So how do we keep the energy going in this mentoring relationship? How do we make sure that the mentee stays committed to this mentoring relationship? One thing to do is to be reliable. So make sure that you are ready to meet at the times that you say you will meet. You are available at the times that you are available. You give your time, energy, and attention to the mentee. All right? It's also a good idea to create a plan which will help you both review the relationship as you go along. All right? Also check for unintentional bias. This could be anything. We all have biases that we need to check, all of us. And this is especially important when we're dealing with humans, right? For example, we might be biased against less experienced teachers. We might be biased against certain teachers who went through a different professional development route to our own. We must make sure that we question these biases and that we don't bring them into our mentoring relationship. And the mentee the same. If you feel like the mentee has certain biases against, for example, particular students, it's your job to help them consider this, okay, in a sensitive way. Make sure that you always support your mentee rather than harming them. We can harm our mentees by giving them too much to think about, too much to do, which puts stress and pressure on them. We can also harm them if we overly criticize them. The role is not about criticizing and evaluation, but support and guidance. So we need to treat our mentees with dignity, respect, and compassion. All right. If something happens between you and the mentee, make sure that you don't respond angrily. Take your time to think about what's happened and respond when you have cooled down. And finally, think about your last meeting. All right. In your final meeting with your mentee, which might happen after 6 months, it might happen after a year, it could even happen after 1 month. Think about how you will close this relationship. So you may need to ask the following questions. What are the successes that you are both celebrating? What do you want to thank each other for? Keep this positive. You might decide to write them a short letter or a short note of gratitude. You might decide to share with them something you have learned. Remember, this relationship is reciprocal, so there is give and take here. This is just the start of mentoring. There's a lot of things to consider, but it's a good place for us to discuss. And think about our discussion question. What are 2 things that you have learned from this video, from the workbook in front of me here? 2 things that you have learned about mentoring.